Here we have some examples of tools in Roblox. Tools can be almost anything, like flashlights, hammers, or swords. In this video, we are going to go over what is required to create your own custom tools in Roblox Studio by creating an axe and placing that tool in the starter pack so it is added to the player's backpack when they join the game. After we create the custom tool, we'll create a chop animation that will play when the player clicks their mouse. Let's get building. All right, so we're going to go to the Explorer and go into the Workplace and just click on the plus icon in there. And we're going to add a tool. So search for tool and then click on tool. All right, so we want to rename that tool to tool axe. So right click on that, go to rename, just change the name to tool axe. All right, so now we have the tool axe in the workspace. So now we want to go up to the home ribbon here and go and find part. We're going to click on part and add in a block. Let's drag that part into the tool. So go to the Explorer, click on the part and drag it into the tool. And then we're going to rename that part to wood rod. All right, so now we're going to adjust some of the properties for that part. So we're going to adjust the material, color, and size. So with that part selected, go down to the properties, and we're going to first just change the material to wood. So we'll right now click on the materials there, find wood in the list, click on that, and go up to brick color, click on that. We're going to change it to CGA brown. Now find size under transform in the properties, expand that, and we're going to make the X 0.25. We're going to change the Y to 4 and the Z to 0.25. All right, so now we're going to add in the handle. So with wood rod selected, we're going to go Control D to duplicate that part. And we're going to rename the duplicated part to handle with a capital H. And we're going to adjust the properties now for the handle. So let's go down to the properties for the handle. And for that one, we're going to change the material back to plastic. We'll find a gray color for the handle. So let's go and click on brick color. And let's see, we got smoky gray. We'll go with that. All right, now we need to adjust the size. So let's go down to size, expand size. And we're going to make it a little bit bigger so it sticks out a bit. So 0.31 on the X. The Y, we want it to be 0.75. And the Z, let's go with 0.3 also. All right, so I'm going to just move the entire thing up a bit here. And then we're going to click on the handle part. And we're going to drag that down so it's closer to the bottom of the rod. All right, so now we want to actually duplicate the handle also. So click back on the handle, make sure that's selected, and go Control D again. And we're going to rename that duplicated part to top. So right click and go rename and just call it top. And we can leave all the properties the same for that, except for we're going to change one thing. We're going to change the material for the top. So let's change the material to metal. We'll also change the color as well. So the brick color, we're going to change that to white. We're going to drag that up to the top here. So you want it sticking up just above the rod here. So make sure you just drag up a little bit more here. There we go. So we don't see any of the wood at the top there. All right, with the top selected, we're going to now duplicate that also. Let's go Control D. And we're going to rename that to top B1. So this is going to be part of the blade. So with top B1 selected, we want to go down. We want to change the shape of that. So find shape in the properties. We're going to change that to wedge. And then we're also going to change the size. So find size, expand that. And for X, we're going to change that to 0.75. Y will do 0.75 also. And then for Z, we will have 0.15. All right, so now we got to position that part. So let's go and rotate it. So I'm rotating it 90 degrees there. And we need to, I'm just going to the top view. Need to move it over here a bit. Zoom in a bit here. All right, so I'm going to turn on collisions for a second here. So I can just move it over, and the collisions will stop it when it gets to this part here. Now let's go back and select top B1. We're going to duplicate that also. So before we duplicate, we want to turn collisions off. All right, Control D to duplicate. And we're going to name the duplicated part to top B2. All right, so we're going to want to click on rotate now. We're going to rotate top B2. Let's go back to top view. And we got to move that one over a bit. All right, I'm going to turn on collisions again so I can line it up nicely. So you have the collision stops it from going into the other part. So it hits the other part and stops. Okay, so now I want to select top B1 and top B2, and we want to just get it aligned nicely here. So there. So now we got our tool we built. So now what we got to do is we got to go and add some weld constraints. So let's go and back to the Explorer, click on the handle, and we're going to add a welds constraint for each of the parts. So click on the plus sign next to handle and look up weld constraint. All right, so I'm just going to rename this to weld constraint rod. All right, with weld constraint selector, you're going to find under parts, part 0 and part 1. So we want to weld for part 0, we're going to select the handle, and part 1, we're going to select the wood rod. So let's go in and click on part 0, and then select the handle, and go down, click on part 1, and select the wood rod. All right, so now we have that weld set up. So now we're going to do that 3 more times for the other 3 parts. So let's go to select the weld constraint, and we can just duplicate that. So go Control D 3 times. All right, so now you're going to want to weld for the top B1 and top B2. So I'm just going to rename them. All right, so I renamed the 3 other weld constraints to weld constraint top B1, and weld constraint top B2. So now click on the weld constraint top. We want to change the part 1 to top. Click on the next one for top B1, change part 1, top B1, and then the last one, change part 1 to top B2. All right, that's it. So we got a really simple tool we just built. So we built this simple little axe here. So now what we can do is we can drag this tool into our starter pack. So let's do that. Drag it down here in the Explorer to starter pack, let go. Right, we have the tool axe now in the starter pack. And now let's run the game. Click on play. All right, so we have our tool axe now in our starter packs. We have that here. All we have to do now is click on 1, and now we equip that, and we have the axe. Oh, so we have our blade kind of positioned not really how we want it to do. So we can reposition the tool. So we want to rotate that a bit here. So let's going to stop this here. All right, so to correct the orientation of the tool, what we have to do is now select the tool again. So go back to tool. And there is a property for the tool called grip. So you want to find grip in the properties and find the orientation, expand that. And we had that off by 90 degrees on the Y. So we want to go and rotate that 90 degrees. So find Y and enter 90 degrees in there. All right, so now we're going to run the game again. Click 1 to equip the tool, and there we go. So we got our axe good to go there. I guess it could be tilted a little back. So you could adjust the orientation if you wanted it tilted back a bit. I'm just going to leave it like that. So it's not looks too bad. So it's a really simple tool. But that's basically the process to create a tool. You create the tool, you build out the parts, you do the welds, you make sure you have a handle with a capital H, and then you put it in the starter pack if you want them to have that available for them when they start the game. So currently our tool doesn't do anything, but if you want to have some actions or something like that that goes along with your tool, you have to do a little bit of scripting or create some animations to go along with that. In the description of the video, you'll find a link to part 2 where we create the animation and script so that the player can swing the axe in a chopping motion. Thanks for watching, and if you're interested in learning how to create the animation, check out part 2.